Hello and welcome along to episode 78 of the All Things Leeds podcast. I'm NkGhTg and joining me remotely is, as always, Charles Foster. Charles, hello.
Hi, Matt. How you doing?
I'm very well. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm okay. Not too bad.
You had a good week?
Been pretty dull. Not done much. But I'm looking forward to talking about this and talking about the game.
Are you? After a loss, you're looking forward to talking about it?
Well, I'm looking forward to talking about the club. Maybe not the game as much.
Yeah. Just
I
talking about
don't
Leeds
really,
United.
yeah, I don't love talking about games we've lost, but it needs must.
Yeah. We, of course, have to talk about that game from Monday night, which saw Leeds United lose 1-0 to Wolves at Elland Road. We've got plenty of news to discuss as well, including giving our thoughts on the whole pay-per-view debacle before looking ahead to Leeds United's next game, which sees them take on Aston Villa away at Villa Park on Friday night. Plenty coming up here on the All Things Leeds podcast. So let's start by looking back on Monday night's game then. Leeds United losing 1-0 to Wolverhampton Wanderers at Elland Road. Charles, what's the feeling coming out of that game for you?
Frustration. I think because I wasn't following the game that closely because I had other things I had to do. Apologies, mate, because you have to have the cough. Yeah, I wasn't following the game that closely because I was just following on Twitter and other things to do. But I've seen a lot of the first half, a lot of the second half, and all the highlights and things, and it just seems like we were so on top in the first half. We just didn't. The right chance didn't fall to us. There was a few unlucky bounces, a few good interceptions by the likes of Connor Cody and the rest of the Wolves defenders that kind of prevented us from making that that lethal breakthrough. And I was pretty confident that we would crack on in the second half and take it forward, but it wasn't to be. So it was just a bit frustrating.
Yeah, 100%. My feeling coming away from that game was a mix of frustration and disappointment, really. Leeds United, I feel, didn't deserve to lose the game. I feel as though a draw would have been a fair result, and Leeds United deserved a point for how they played. They played incredible football, the Leeds United. They were great value for money, in particular in that first half, as you say. And I guess that you could say that it was a game of two halves, really. Leeds United were on top in that first half, but then Wolves were definitely the better team in the second half.
Yeah, just disappointing because, looking at the players' interview, I think it was Elland was saying that the Wolves kind of changed up the system in the second half, and Leeds couldn't quite get to grips with them as well as they could in the first half. And so that was a bit disappointing that we couldn't carry it on. And then it felt like it was just it was coming. It was inevitable. It did feel like at one point there was that point in the second half, and I think on about between the 55th minute and about the just shy of the 70th minute, where I thought we're definitely going to concede at some point here. The second half wasn't great. I suppose we're going to end up talking about the offside goal that they scored, that VAR fixed for it. I don't want to say fixed for us, but it was offside. Having seen it back, I saw a lot of people comparing it to like these daft like armpit offsides that Liverpool.
Yeah, no, it was offside.
But it was a full leg off. His full right leg was offside. So it was if that had been given against us, I wouldn't be complaining. I'd have been a little bit annoyed, but I wouldn't be complaining because it's offside. But
yeah, no, it wasn't millimeters. That's for sure. I knew it was offside even without that line there. I could see it in that still frame that he was just slightly in front of Luke Ayling. So there's no doubt about that. But you're right in saying that their goal was coming, but not in the first half. Leeds United were definitely on top in the early stages, putting Wolves under immense pressure, moving the ball around well, players moving well, passing well. It was just Bielsa ball at its finest in the first half, really. Very entertaining to watch. And it was great to see us make a team who have finished 7th in the Premier League both seasons. They've been back up in the top flight, who, of course, reached the quarterfinals of the Europa League last season. Just to see us make them look average at times and dominate them at times, it was very pleasing to see. And, when you look at the stats, we had 68% of the possession, 13 shots compared to their 7. We really were Really, really good of a night. And yeah, that's why I feel as though we deserved a point, really, but it just wasn't to be in the end. But Leeds created quite a lot of chances in that first half. Costa fizzed the shot just wide. Bamford actually scored. He put the ball in the back of the net, free in the box, headed in, but he was ruled out correctly for offside. It was a mile offside. Rodrigo, I'd say, had the best chance for Leeds in the whole game in that first half. Where he had the ball free in the box and just shot straight at the keeper from close range. He should have definitely done better. Should have Rodrigo. But, the longer it was 0-0, you were thinking, we've seen this before, these missed chances could end up coming back to bite us. How many games has there been where we've dominated but then just missed chances and then ended up losing the game by a scrappy goal? It really did feel like we were playing another championship game in that first half, just dominating the game, but just couldn't score. It was so frustrating.
Shades of like Wigan and Sheffield Wednesday, where we're just on top the whole game, and then we, miraculously lose for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, Wolves, they definitely did play well in that second half, but that first half was just so frustrating because after each chance, every time we broke past their defense and we just kept on missing chances, you were thinking this is going to come back to bite us. And yeah, it of course did. We let Wolves back into the game. They had a really good chance just before half time, actually, with Podence free in the box. Should have scored, but Ilya Meslier was there to make a very good, strong save to keep it 0-0 at half time. And Meslier, I thought, had another astounding game, Charles.
Yeah, I felt sorry for him because obviously the goal that ended up beating him was a deflection that completely wrong-footed him. Whereas if it hadn't have hit Calvin's head, it was going straight into his arms. So yeah, so he made a couple of good saves, a couple of shots from outside the box, and the Podence save. He had a very solid game. He probably deserved his clean sheet. It's just unfortunate that a lot of the goals he's conceded so far, only a couple of ones in the Fulham game and potentially the Van Dijk one in the Liverpool game where I thought he's at fault for that. But the rest of them have just kind of been, good efforts or defensive mistakes, which this one was. It was just a defensive mistake from Phillips. It's just, pinged off his head and gone the wrong way, which is just unfortunate.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate. It was just one of those, really. Of course, their goal came on 70 minutes through Raul Jimenez. I mean, his shot was not going in. It was a poor shot, really. But yeah, it was just one of those. It took a wicked deflection off Phillips's head and wrong-footed Meslier and went in. It was just, really, really unfortunate. But could the defence have prevented this goal, Charles? Because for me, they could have. Because Jimenez picked up the ball on that right-hand side and he was allowed to run into a good position from right to left into a good shooting position. Of course, had the shot and it went in. So I feel as though the defence could have stopped him from running from right to left. I feel as though he had way too much time on the ball.
Yeah, I think it's. I think Struijk lets him goes. I think he goes past Struijk a bit too easily there. I think he escapes him. I think he just has to put a challenge in and potentially foul him because how good of a player Jimenez is. If you leave him free, then you're going to have issues. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate. I mean, it is poor defending, but it is just a really unlucky goal. There's not really much else to say about it. I feel sorry for Phillips, and I think it's just very unfortunate.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the whole defence and the goalkeeper because they deserved a clean sheet. The defence was, incredible. I mean, Calvin Phillips didn't have a great game. I do feel sorry for him, but Luke Ayling was fantastic on that right-hand side, particularly in that first half with him and Helder Costa on that right-hand side. Robin Koch, I feel, had his best game in a league shirt. He was fantastic. I put a man of the match poll out on Twitter after the game, and Robin Koch won by a landslide with 74.3% of the vote. So yeah, Robin Koch definitely was good. Stuart Dallas as well had another fantastic game, and a big shout out to Pascal Struijk. For a 21-year-old who, he wasn't meant to be starting. Liam Cooper was meant to be starting. The captain was meant to be starting, but he pulled up in the warm-up, recurrence of his groin strain, and got pulled out of the starting 11 late on. Struijk had to warm up very quickly. He was chucked in to the starting 11. Jimmy Shackleton came onto the bench. And so Pascal Struijk, I think, deserves a lot of credit because he wasn't meant to be starting. He had to warm up very quickly just before the game. And he was chucked Trace in there, and he had a fantastic game, Charles, didn't he?
He did. And it's just, yeah, obviously it was a bit of a mistake for the goal, but his general play was good. He was very solid, and I'm confident if we have to put him in there in future. It's just there's obviously there's a bit of an issue at the moment because Cooper's injured. It looks like Llorente is out for the foreseeable, and it looks like even Struijk might have picked up a little bit of a knock in the Wolves game as well. And obviously, as we're going to go on to talk about, Phillips has picked up his injury, so there is a bit of a defensive crisis at the moment, which is going to take some resolving.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel as though a lot of pundits fail to mention this, but think what you want about Liam Cooper, but he is the captain, and we lost our captain just before kickoff. To lose your captain just before the game is very, very tough, isn't it, Charles?
Well, it is, yeah. It's he's arguably one of the most important players on the pitch because he's got that leadership, he's got that experience. He's played at, I think, at all the levels he's played at. He's played the Championship for years. He played in League Two when he was with Chesterfield. And now he's got his chance at the Premier League. He's a very experienced centre half who makes up the partnership with another player in Robin Koch who doesn't have that much experience of English football and an inexperienced player like Struijk. So to lose him, it is quite a blow.
Yeah, 100%. But the defence, I feel, played really well on the night, deserved a clean sheet, but just, unfortunately, we conceded a scrappy goal, really. We, of course, brought on Pablo Hernandez, who made his return from injury, and he had a really good chance in that second half as well, which he probably should have scored from. Wolves as well brought on Adama Traore, who was oiling himself up on the touchline. Adama Traore, now, he's very, very strong. He's very ripped. He's very fast. But yeah, he put oil on his arms, which is an interesting tactic.
Yeah, well, he does that apparently because people tried to grab him and foul him, so they literally oil him up so people can't grab him, which is a bit strange. But
yeah, no, well, they do that in a lot of other sports. Really, they do it. I know that they do it in wrestling, and sumo wrestling. They oil them up, so it's harder to grab them, harder to defend against them. So, you don't really see it often in football, but very interesting. But Adama Traore, he's already strong, he's already quick. Add oil onto his body to make it harder to grab hold of him, then it's going to be even harder to defend against him. So, but no, Leeds United brought on Rafinha, new signing Rafinha, who made his debut, came on for Jack Harrison on the 82nd minute. And he looked quite good as well, de Rafinha. Looked quite fast, looked quite skillful. Played quite well. But Leeds United just couldn't recover from going a goal down and ended up losing 1-0. And it just wasn't our night, was it, Charles? It just wasn't our night.
No, it was it was just one of them where you're not going to get the result you want. And from the stats, it looks like we were shithoused a bit, but a draw would probably have been the fair result. And to get done by such a kind of poxy, drab goal, just a lucky goal. It stings a bit, but we've got plenty more chances to pick up points this season, and we've got another good chance on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, you need to remember Wolves are, although they're not the biggest team on paper, they're not Liverpool or Manchester City. They have a good team. So there's no shame in losing against Wolverhampton Wanderers, really. Yeah, they are a fantastic team. I feel as though Jimenez should have been sent off late on. Robin Koch brought him down, and while he was on the floor, he kicked at Robin Koch, just kicked him. Wasn't too unlike, if you cast your mind back to last season, Chelsea versus Tottenham Hotspur, Heung-min Son, his kick, while he was down on the floor, he got sent off for it. It wasn't, too unlike that. So do you feel as though Jimenez should have been sent off, Charles?
I do actually, yeah, because he deliberately kicks out, and there's zero tolerance on violent conduct. He kicks him with the intention to kind of catch him in the down below to try and hurt him because he felt he was fouled. But it's completely unacceptable. So yeah, he should have been sent off. But I noticed that nobody picked it up. Not Sky, nobody other than the odd people on Twitter and YouTube. Nobody picked it up. Nobody official anyway.
Yeah. But it should have definitely been sent off. It just seems as though VAR does not care about the health and well-being of other players, unfortunately. I mean, I thought the
Yeah.
officiating was poor all night, really. The referee, David Koo, he was just dreadful. Yeah, I haven't been a fan of him at all. I thought he had a shocking game on Monday night. But, there's no excuses. It just wasn't Leeds United tonight, really. We just failed to capitalise on our chances and capitalise on our dominance, really, which, I guess you could look at it and think, it's a bit worrying, because it's kind of like last season where, we struggled to capitalise on chances and convert chances. So do you think that's another problem this season, Charles? Do you think that's an area which we can improve on?
I don't know. I think we've been pretty good at converting our chances this season. I think we've been generally outperforming our XG. Although I don't particularly put much stock in XG because I think it's a bit silly at times. And I don't think it takes into account a lot of things, and I think it over extrapolates a lot of things. But I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think it was just one of them games, and you do get them games over the course of a season. As I was saying earlier, the Wigan and the Sheffield Wednesday games in the last couple of seasons where you just turn up and nothing goes your way, and you're there, hammering on a door for 90 minutes and getting no joy whatsoever. Just Birmingham as well. They did the same. Gary Monk in particular in the Championship was just a pain in the arse to try and beat. But yeah, those kind of games where just nothing goes your way, it's you just do get them, and that was one of them.
Yeah, it was just one of them. So it's not time to worry yet, in your opinion, Charles. It's not time to worry yet.
No, I'm not worried.
Yeah,
2 wins, two losses, and a draw. That's pretty mid-table form. So if you take that over the whole season, then it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of Leeds United fans after the game on Twitter, a bit angry and a bit worried after that. Worried that we're going to go down. I mean, why? There's no need to be. We are a newly promoted team. I think a lot of people seem to forget we are a newly promoted team, and to already win 2 games and pick up a draw in the first 5 games isn't that bad. It is the Premier League. We're not going to win every game anymore. We're not going to win every single game. A loss is going to come from time to time, and that is okay. We are a newly promoted side. It's not time to worry yet. If you're worried after that, don't be. There's no need to be. As I said, Wolves are a good team, and we lost against a decent team by a scrappy goal. It's not the end of the world, is it, Charles?
It's just as simple as that. There's nothing to be worried about whatsoever, and those games happen, those goals happen. It's not an issue, and that's the thing, though. It's when that's the thing, with success. When you get more success with the football club, the fans get more entitled. That's why you get fans of Manchester United and Liverpool and Real Madrid and Barcelona, assuming they're going to win every game, and when they don't win every game, they have an absolute meltdown. It's not just there's nothing to be worried about. We've just been promoted, as you've said. All we need to do is stay in the division.
Yeah,
we're gonna get games like that, and we're gonna get games which end up like the first kind of 60 minutes of the Fulham game where we just steamroll a team. Both types of games happen, so there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I think if you look at the positives, it's a really good marker as to where we are, because I think Ravizani, at least, he wants to do similar to what Wolves have done and achieve something in the Premier League and compete in the Premier League. And I think that's a good marker as to where we are. We just a minor loss against a really good team. I think that is a good marker. I think, it's probably a bit of a wake-up call, really. And, it's just a learning curve. We learn from that and we move on, really. Of course, we're 10th in the Premier League table on 7 points, but after 5 games, the table is very much irrelevant, really. As I say, we learn from it and we move on to the game on Friday night where we take on Aston Villa away from home. We'll preview that game later on in the show. So we've got no Leeds United under 23s game to look at, as they have not played since we last spoke. They don't play again until this Sunday, the 25th of October, where they take on Norwich City at Thorpe Arch in the Premier League 2, kicking off at 12 p.m. And it will be live streamed on social media, so make sure you set your reminder for that. And as we mentioned in the last episode, the Leeds United women don't play again until next Tuesday night, when they take on Bradford City away from home in the league. That one kicks off at 7:45 p.m. So let's now have a look at some news, and we must start with the big and quite worrying news, really, coming out of Monday night's game. 24-year-old midfielder Calvin Phillips has suffered a shoulder injury and could face up to 6 weeks on the sidelines. This is not good at all, Charles, really, is it?
No, it's him and Mateus Click are probably the two players we least need to be injured. We need them to fit the most, and to lose him so early on and for such an extended period as well is really unfortunate. And the injury that he already picked it up was such a daft. It was Jimenez again. Jimenez legs him up as he's running back, and he trips and smashes his shoulder into the floor, and that's how he did it.
Yeah.
And to pick up such a silly injury like that is unfortunate.
Yeah, very much so.
But, you know, this break. Sorry to interrupt. This break might do him the world of good though, because he's been playing a lot of games with England. So he's already played quite a lot of games this season. To get that time off and to miss the next international break and recuperate might end up being the best thing for him. Get his mind right and get his body right, and then come back and perform his best for Leeds. Because at the moment, especially with the games being Nations League games and friendlies, I'm pleased for him that he's getting international call-ups for England, but they are glorified friendlies really, and he's tiring himself out playing in a system that's different from Bielsa's system. So to get him away from England for a bit and to get him right might be I don't want to say a blessing in disguise. I'd rather have him fit in the team, but you know, it might be a benefit, a silver lining of the cloud.
Yeah. If you're looking at positives, trying to look at positives in this situation, yes, I think it's an opportunity for him to just, you know, refresh and recharge the batteries, and, you know, miss the next international break, which is in 2 weeks or so. So yeah, if you're looking at positives, that is of course a positive. But Calvin Phillips is an important part of the team. He's in the spine of the team. I'd say he's been the heartbeat of the team on occasions. He's a key player, and without him, we do tend to struggle. So he will be a massive loss, won't he, Charles?
He will, and I'm not looking forward to not having him in the team, especially given you know, likes of Grealish coming up in attacking midfield for Villa on Friday, and we're not going to have him there. That is a slight worry, but we'll I suppose we'll just have to deal with that when it comes up.
Yeah, so, I mean, you mentioned Grealish there. They've got Grealish, Ross Barkley. The next game after that, Leicester have got Maddison. So, yeah, we have a lot of good attacking midfielders that we're coming up against. And, yeah, with Calvin Phillips, it would be useful to have him there. But, yeah, it certainly will be a massive loss. Now, in the past, without Calvin Phillips, we have had options there. But at this moment in time, we don't really. Marcelo Bielsa has said in his Villa press conference this week that 21-year-old defender Pascal Struijk is set to replace Phillips. Now, Struijk did play well in defensive midfield a few times last season. He played really well in that position for the last 3 games last season against Barnsley, Derby and Charlton. So could he do a decent job against Aston Villa, do you think, Charles, and for the next few games?
I mean, he's going to have to do. It's not really it's not really a choice. It's a bit of a baptism of fire, but you know, this is what it's about. This is what happens when you've got a small squad. There's nothing really you can do. You can't really do much about it.
You just got to work with what you got, really.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it is unfortunate, but I've got faith in him. I think he's a good player. I think the experience will do him good, and hopefully he can have a couple of really good performances. And we'll barely notice Phillips being gone. That's the ideal scenario. By the time he comes back, we'll be delighted to see him, but not, you know, desperate for him to jump straight back in.
Yeah, certainly. I think Struijk is definitely a good player, but whether he can replicate the form that he showed in the Championship in that position in the Premier League, we'll need to wait and see. But yeah, he certainly had a good season as Struijk so far this season. But Charles, do you really want a youngster like Struijk out of position against really good opposition in the Premier League? Or would you prefer someone like Robin Koch going in there, who's a bit more experienced, as a bit more, you know, has played in that position a few more times at a high level?
I can see where you're coming from, but I think Bielsa likes Koch at centre half. I think he's, especially given how well Koch performed against Wolves in the centre half position, I think he wants that to stay as, because he's going to be probably the only member of the back four who's not going to be playing musical chairs this on Friday. Is Robin Koch. So I think Bielsa want to keep him there.
It's a fantastic analogy. Yeah, I mean, I prefer Koch and Struijk to both be in centre back, but realistically, those are the only 2 options really to fill that midfield role. And if Struijk or Koch, you know, do move into midfield, then someone needs to go at centre back. And Liam Cooper, Marcelo Bielsa said in his press conference that Liam Cooper is a doubt for Friday. You'd expect him to definitely miss the game on Friday and potentially miss some further games with that groin strain. So he's not available. Summer signing Diego Llorente is also out injured. The 27-year-old defender is out for 3 weeks after picking up a groin strain while on international duty with Spain. So he won't be an option for a while. So yes, Jurek or Koch have to move really. And yeah, who goes in centre back? I mean, I think the obvious move would be to put Luke Ayling at centre back. Ayling's played centre back many times before and done quite well. We know he can play there. Although I'd say that Ayling has been phenomenal at right back so far this season. So I would be a bit hesitant to move him out of position right now. But that is a solid option, though, moving Ayling into centre back. And if you do that, then Shackleton or Dallas could play at right back. And then you could play either Leif Davis or Iarski at left back if you're moving Dallas over to the right. So there are options there. Davis can also play centre back as well. So there are options, but Charles, are not exactly options which fill you with a lot of confidence, are they?
Not particularly. I think it's going to be a bit of an issue till Cooper's back fit, completely. I think that will slightly resolve some of the issues. Cooper being, dropping out of the lineup on Monday was a little bit worrying because the three days is not a lot of time to recuperate if he's managed to redo his groin. If it's just a slight niggle he had on Monday, then I suppose there's a possibility he might be okay, but they don't want to risk him and turn it into a worse injury. I think it's going to be just something for Bielsa to sort out.
Yeah,
we're just a bit unfortunate that a lot of the very similar types of players have been injured all at once. It's like, yeah. and it's in the positions that we don't have a lot of depth in as well.
Yeah, I mean, God forbid we get any other injuries in the defensive positions. God forbid we get any more injuries there. You got to remember though, Diego Llorente is only meant to be out for 3 weeks, so he could be back soon, but I'd expect him not to be back before the international break. But yeah, it's not good at all. And as you say, musical chairs, there's going to be a lot of reshuffling in the starting 11. That is now Llorente, Cooper and Phillips out injured for us. Our defences taking a bit of a hit, really, and it's certainly not good. Certainly quite worrying, really. I don't know how we're going to manage against some really good teams in our next couple of games. We'll have to wait and see how we do. Full faith in Bielsa right now, Charles.
Well, that's all we can do, really. Unfortunately, it's, we can't afford to lose faith at this point. I am confident that Bielsa will sort this out as well. I think the players have got enough experience in different positions along the defensive line because of the way Bielsa insists on playing that I think we'll probably be able to resolve it. But we've never had to sort something out to this extent at this high level before. So this will be a proper test of Bielsa's man management and arrangement skills for the defence. I just hope that while we are as makeshift as we are, that we don't end up conceding a shed load of goals and losing confidence and people start piling in on social media and all that other horrible stuff when you lose a couple of games. Because we just need to have a little bit of patience, I think. We are going to concede a couple of dodgy goals while the defence is makeshift, I'm sure of it, but I think we've definitely got the potential to win the games regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But it's sure going to be interesting to see how we cope without Calvin Phillips. And of course, best of luck to Calvin Phillips. I do wish him a strong and speedy recovery. Well, now let's discuss this whole pay-per-view debacle, shall we? It was announced a couple of weeks ago that football games that are not chosen for your standard Sky Sports and BT Sport coverage will be available to watch, but only if you paid a £14.95 pay-per-view price. And the Aston Villa Leeds game at Villa Park on Friday night is on BT Sport box office. So if you want to watch that, then you will have to purchase it, unfortunately. Now I'm kind of in two minds about this, really. I think it's good that the option is there, really, to be able to watch the games. I think that's great. And I think that's why 19 out of the 20 Premier League clubs voted for it, because you'd rather have the option there than have nothing there at all. But I do think that there's other ways to show the games rather than making fans pay £14.95 to watch a game. It seems a little bit too much money, doesn't it, Charles?
It does. It's really not right for the for these TV companies that are already charging people, £40-50 a month to watch BT and probably a similar amount a month to watch Sky and everything else, and then they've got the audacity to turn around and say, right, even though you're all skint, and even though it's in the middle of a pandemic, and even though games used to be on earlier in the pandemic, a couple of games were on the BBC and ITV and things like that, so a bit of a relief there for them then to turn around and say, oh, actually, we're going to charge you £15.99. We're going to try and fleece even more money out of you. Bear in mind, a lot of people have already, paid their season tickets, and so as far as they're concerned, they should be getting to see these games if it's down to the clubs for free because they've paid to be there, but they can't be there for obvious reasons. It's disgraceful, really, and it's disgusting, to be honest with you. And I think this constant trying to wrench more and more money out of fans for very little reason, just out of interest of greed, really. Particularly for the higher Premier League clubs, that they do not need to fleece any more money out of fans. In fact, the majority of Premier League clubs, I think, could probably afford to operate for free and not charge fans anything to turn up to games. That's not the case in the EFL because the TV revenue is nowhere near as good and the advertisement sponsorship's nowhere near as good. But in the Premier League, I'm willing to bet probably 12 or 13 of the 20 clubs could afford to just charge fans nothing and just go off the TV money.
Yeah.
And so for them to not only wrench, hundreds and hundreds of pounds on the season ticket, but and also the general money for the broadcasting on BT and Sky, but then even more money, this £15.99 charge it's wrong.
Yeah, it very much is. Fans, as you mentioned, already pay for Sky and BT subscriptions. Surely that's pay-per-view in itself, right? You're paying to watch the platforms. So, yeah, I think that's a bit wrong. They're already paying £50 a month or so for these subscriptions. Now they have to pay even extra, which isn't right. And especially during a pandemic where, money is tight at the moment, for a lot of people. So I think, the extra £15 for each game is, it's sure going to take a toll. Of course, you mentioned there, season ticket holders, such as myself, we've already paid to watch the games. So surely, we should be able to watch it for free. I think club websites such as LUTV, should be able to show it. I think that a negotiation of the TV deals needs to happen, really, because we are in a new, it is the new normal, as they say. We are in a new age right now, and but people are going to have to watch games on TV for a little while longer now. So I think a renegotiation of the TV deals must happen. Really, they must find a way to make watching games a lot more accessible, and a lot more accessible for fans. Really, of course.
It's supposed to be the working man's sport. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's supposed to be a working class sport, and and they're charging people this amount of money. It's just wrong. And then you've I know we're not planning on talking about it, but there's even more stuff coming out this week about about them trying to brand this new European Premier League crap.
Yeah.
So it's just a series of billionaires who are so greedy they're trying to literally wrench the soul out of the sport, and it's really sad to see, to be honest.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, quite frankly, this whole European Super League and the big Project 6 or whatever, it don't deserve it for light of day, really. That's why we're trying to avoid talking about it on this podcast. But no, you're right. It is, it is a shame because it's just greediness, really, from the millionaires and the billionaires, really. Why did they need these extra £15 off each fan to watch these games? It is a bit ludicrous. That LUTV cannot show it, by the way, because of the TV deal. So that's why I think negotiations have to happen, really, on that standpoint. I also don't understand why someone on the other side of the world can watch these games for free, but then we have to pay and we're over here. To me, that's just baffling. Someone who probably doesn't even care about the Premier League halfway across the world can watch the game for free for nothing, but we have to pay. over here. I think that's just a bit of a disgrace, really. And I think as well, with £15 to watch the game, it's quite a lot. I think it will encourage household mixing as well, which is not what you want in this pandemic. I think people will go to the mates and say, "Oh, look, if we get a few of us here, we can split the price. It'll be just a few quid each to watch it, and that'll be great." That's not what you want in the pandemic. You don't want household mixing. And I think it encourages it. I also think it will encourage people to find illegal streams, which it isn't right. And pubs as well. Pubs will be showing it, and I think pubs will be a lot more packed. Which of course, we'll support the pub, but do you really want a pub filled with drunk football fans during the pandemic? No, you probably don't. So, yeah, I think there's so many reasons as to why the pay-per-view thing is just completely wrong, really. And that's why a lot of fans are, deciding to put their money towards something else. A lot of fans are donating to charity, donating for £15 to charity instead of giving it to millionaires and billionaires at Sky and BT and football clubs. If the money was going straight to the football club, then I'd be all about it. But the fact that it is going to Sky and BT is just sucks, really. And yeah, a lot of fans are donating to charity instead. A lot of Leeds United fans are donating to the Leeds Fans Food Bank, of course, run by the LUFC Trust. So if you're not wanting to spend money on the pay-per-view, but you're wondering, what am I going to do with this £15? Then give it to charity instead. Put it towards a good cause, 100%. I think that's great to see. And take a stand, really. If you don't agree with all this, then take a stand. Don't pay for the pay-per-view. If they don't get many buyers on pay-per-view, then it's not going to happen for long. That's for sure. So if you don't agree with it, then take a stand. Don't purchase it. Just wait. Try and find a stream. Just wait and see the results, see the highlights. Just try and live without it. Really, it's unfortunate, but yeah, it's what's happening. It's just it's really, really bad. Really, this pay-per-view thing. As I say, I think it's good that the option is there to be able to watch it, but it's just there must be other ways to be able to let fans watch games, Charles.
Well, there is. There's plenty of other ways they could do it. They could stream for free. They could. They could just deduct it off you on the red button. They could deduct it off your season ticket cost and allow each club to stream it on their own streaming service for free. They could do a number of things. That is not just trying to rip more people off, but that's all they know how to do at the moment. The Premier League is eating itself with its own greed, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because as soon as this because this scheme to try of massively expand it that keeps going off, then people are just not going to be interested. No one's going to want to watch the same teams play the same teams every week in a kind of super league of 10. No one's going to be bothered about that. That's how the Yanks do it, but it's not going to work, and people are just going to be disinterested and stop going once football restarts, or they're going to be, they're going to choose a different club, or they go support an EFL club or a National League club, which, to be honest, I'd be all in favour of. If a load of Liverpool fans if Liverpool, the club left and all these Liverpool fans decide to go support Tranmere instead, that'd be far more entertaining. Like the proper Scouse Liverpool fans, that'd be brilliant. Because it's the worst part of football. Money is the worst part of football, but it's
100%.
The greed and the fact that it's getting worse and worse and worse with regards to things like that. It is a bit depressing, to be honest.
Well, let's now look ahead to Leeds United's next game, which sees them take on Dean Smith's Aston Villa away at Villa Park on Friday night. It kicks off at 8 p.m. And as we say, it is live on BT Sport Box Office. Charles, what are your thoughts heading into the game on Friday night?
I am, moderately worried given the defensive situation, but
yeah,
I'm pleased that it's such a quick turnaround, because it gives the players the chance to just go out straight away and get straight back into it. I'm anticipating quite an expansive game. I think they've got Ross Barkley, and they've got Jack Grealish, and they've got some solid players. They've got Mings in defence, who's decent. I mean, I know he has his critics, but he is a decent player. So they've got some good players, and they've got Martinez from Arsenal as well. That he's a really solid keeper. So they've got a really good spine going on. So they have definitely got some players to be fair, and they've started the season fantastically with the four straight victories. So they are the form team in the division. So this is the worst time to be playing them, really. But all good things must come to an end. So hopefully we can send them all home miserable.
Yeah, it certainly is not a great time to be playing Aston Villa. As you say, they've got some great players. They've recruited really well over the summer with the additions of Ollie Watkins, Martinez in goal, as you say, and Ross Barkley, who seems to be a very good signing for them, as well as already having the likes of Jack Grealish. So they do have a very, very good team, to Aston Villa. They're not a bad team at all, Charles, are they?
No, not all. They are fantastic, really. So I'm kind of hoping we're going to turn up and just have a one of those games where we just turn up and steamroll somebody, and we can be 2 or 3-0 up in the first half. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a case of we're going to have to just be sharper and more at it than they are, because I think if we give the likes of Ross Barkley and Grealish time on the ball and space to do their thing, then without compromised our defence currently is, we might get punished.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly will have to be on the top of our game. It's certainly going to be a very, very tough fixture. As you say, they've had an incredible start to the season, despite only just staying up, just surviving in the Premier League last season. They've started the season incredibly. The only team in England to still have a 100% record in the league. They played 4-1-4, which includes an unreal 7-2 victory over defending champions Liverpool at Villa Park a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, they've had an insane start to the season, Aston Villa. They are second in the league on 12 points, 1 point behind league leaders Everton, but they do have a game in hand on Everton, so that's why they are second. But Aston Villa, they definitely will be up for this game. They'll want to remain undefeated. They'll want to keep on, keep on winning games. So they're going to be up for it, and yeah, we're going to have to be on the top of our game if we want to pick anything up from this game. Really, it's funny that you mentioned that you're a fan of the quick turnaround, and I do agree after this loss, but I do find it bizarre how we've played on the Monday night, we're then playing on the Friday night, and then we don't play again for another 10 days because we play Leicester a week on Monday, don't we? So yeah, I'm not sure what to think of that, giving us a 4-day break or so before we play our next game, and it's the only Premier League game on Friday night as well, and the fact that it's on pay-per-view is a bit bizarre, but no, I'm not sure what to make of that, Charles.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time. I mean, it's a bit unusual for the Premier League, but we've had a lot of this in the Championship where there's just a stupidly quick turnaround. We seem to remember in the past as having like 3 games in 6 days or something stupid like that. So it's not the first time we've dealt with something silly like this, but I'm pleased it's got us into the game quickly. It gives us a chance to bounce back immediately and really get back into it. So yeah, I'm the feeling of the defeat will still be fresh in the players' minds. So yeah, I'm quite pleased it's straight away.
Yeah, I somewhat agree as well. I think if it was a draw or win on Monday, then I'd have been happy to wait. But yeah, especially after a loss, just to get back out there and try shake off them demons. Yeah, it's I think that is a huge positive. Now Leeds have a great record against Aston Villa, 2 losses in 12 games, just 2 losses in 12 games, which is remarkable. 6 draws and 5 wins. Of course, in the 18-19 season, we drew 1-1 with Aston Villa at Elland Road. But the last time at Villa Park, I'm sure you guys do not need reminding. It was that incredible 3-2 victory on December the 23rd, 2018. That was an incredible game, wasn't it, Charles? We were talking about that before we hit the record button. That was happy memories from the last time we played them at Villa Park.
It's one of those games that you remember for a very long time afterwards. It was fantastic because even though we were 2-0 down in the first half, we were actually probably the better team. We just conceded to 2 decent bits of play and kind of average defending. But the second half we blew them away. Obviously, it's Jack Clarke earning his £10 million price tag inside 90 minutes or 45 minutes there, or however long was on the pitch. He got his first goal for the club, and Janssen equalised, and then Roof got the winner in the last minute. So it was just everything you could want from a football game, apart from maybe a penalty and a red card. It was in that game. It was just fantastic watching, and then we did it all over again about 3 days later against Blackburn. So it happened a lot.
Yeah, it was insane. And to think that was almost 2 years ago as well. That is incredible. Time has gone so fast.
Makes you feel old, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. But can we continue our good form against Aston Villa, do you think? What's your score prediction for Friday night?
Well, I would say we had mixed form, not good form at the moment. It's going to be a tough one. I'd probably predict a draw. I think it'd be a draw.
Go on, give us a score.
1-1.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to bounce back from that defeat, but yeah, it is going to be very tough. Aston Villa are cruising right now. I think a draw as well. I'll go 2-2, I think. What's your lineup?
Desmond.
What's your lineup for the game? Who's playing
one, really.
in defence for you? And who's playing up front as well? Is Rod going to start for you?
This is the thing with the defence, is it depends on whether or not Liam Cooper's available to play, obviously.
Yeah.
So if he's not, then it'll have to be, for me, Leif Davis at left back, Robin Koch at left centre half, Ayling at right centre half, and then Stuart Dallas at right back with Struijk in defensive midfield. If he is fit, then I'd have Stuart Dallas left back, Ayling right back, and Koch and Cooper in the middle, with Struijk in defensive midfield. That's the ideal scenario, given what we know. I'd keep everything else the same. I think Rodrigo had a decent-ish game. I think, despite like what you were saying, he should probably have taken his chance, but against Wolves. But yeah, I'd probably keep the rest of the team the same.
Yeah, I'd agree. If Liam Cooper's fit, then definitely he has to start. So we do have options at centre back, and we don't, move too many players out of position. Yeah, if Liam Cooper's there, then yeah, I mean, Bielsa's already said Struijk's going to play in defensive midfield. But if Liam Cooper's not there, then yeah, Struijk defensive midfield, Koch and Ayling as the centre backs, and yeah, you know what? I'd put Dallas at right back. I was thinking Jamie Shackleton, keep Dallas at left back, but no, I think Dallas will be fine at right back. And then I'd put Alioski at left back, really, just, because he's got a lot more experience. I'd put him at left back, but Leif Davis as well. It would be great to see him play if needed. But yeah, certainly going to be interesting. And yeah, I agree. I think going forward, I think he'll will remain unchanged. I don't think Rafinha will start. I mean, do you think Rafinha may start, actually? Because Helder Costa, of course, came off as a substitute midway through that second half against Wolves. So, he had a good start to the game, but didn't really play well in the second half. So could we potentially see Rafinha start?
I don't think he'll start. I think we'll see more of him off the bench. I think he'll probably come on a bit earlier this time.
Yeah.
If we need a bit of inspiration.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to seeing how Bielsa approaches the game, because we've got a lot of attacking options now. So he's got a lot of he's spot for choice at the top end of the pitch. It's just the other end of the pitch. We're just a bit of a crisis.
Yeah. But it's sure going to be an interesting game on Friday night. It's sure going to be a tough game, but hopefully Leeds United can pick up a point or three. So that brings us to the end of episode 78 of the All Things Leeds podcast. Thank you very much, as always, to Charles for joining me.
Thanks for having me on, Matt.
Yeah, joining me as always, mate, and have a fantastic week and weekend, and we'll catch up next week as always. And thanks as always to everyone who has listened or watched. We very much appreciate it. Make sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating. That would be very much appreciated. Share the podcast around as well. It really does help us out, and we do very much appreciate the support. Follow All Things Leeds on social media. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Search for All Things Leeds on Twitter and Instagram. Search for All Things Leeds on Facebook. And subscribe to the All Things Leeds YouTube channel if you have not already. Charles and I will be back next week. So for now, take care, stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll speak to you soon.